Hello everyone, my name is Aastha. I welcome you all to our classes for International English Olympiad for class 9th. This is our 13th class. We're going to be doing a very important topic, that is the adjectives. It is important yet very easy as well and very interesting as well. I say it is important because it adds on to the quality of your language. If you know how to use the correct adjective at the correct place, it really adds on to your enhances your skills, all right? So do this lecture carefully. Let's get started.
Now the first question that comes to our mind is, what are adjectives? Okay, so we will first answer our very basic question. Okay, so after seeing the examples, now let's finally understand what really adjectives are. Now, adjectives' basic meaning says, an adjective is a word that describes any animal, person, thing or thought. We can also say that an adjective is a word that describes any noun. Because if you remember, what was the definition of noun? Any animal, person, thing or thought. That is noun. So any adjective is something that describes a noun. Okay. So the adjectives are words that describe what something looks like. First of all, it describes what something looks like. Looks like, example, beautiful, ugly, tall, short. How does something look? Then, what something feels like. Second, what something feels like. Soft or hard, smooth, tough. Words like that. Or food items, we can also say what something tastes like. Like delicious, yummy, sour, ripe. Then adjectives also describe what something, fourth point, what something smells like. Aromatic, pleasant, pleasant, all these smells. So if you remember, in all the examples that we took, we described either what something either looks like, or what something feels like, or what something tastes like, or what something smells like. Alright? So this is an adjective. You have to remember the basic meaning, which says adjective is nothing but something that describes any noun. Okay? Adjectives are usually used to describe anything. Okay? Now, let's move on. Okay, so here, here we have a few sentences as examples, and we will see which kind of adjective is each one of them telling us. For example, if you see the first sentence, I have a small house. Small. Which word is describing something here? Small. And what is being described? House. House is a noun. House is a thing which is being described by the word small. And what is it describing? What the house looks like. Okay, what it looks like. Then the second one, my father made yummy cupcakes. My father made yummy cupcakes. What is being described here? Cupcakes. Cupcakes are the noun here. And what did the cupcakes taste like? Yummy. So, yummy is the adjective which is describing what the cupcakes taste like. What is it describing? It is describing what the cupcakes taste like. Taste like. Okay. So the first one was describing what the house looks like. Second one, what the cupcakes taste like. Now the third one. Her perfume was aromatic. Now, what is being described? The perfume. Perfume is a thing, is a noun which is being described by the adjective aromatic. An adjective is describing what the perfume smells like. Okay? Smells like. I'm sorry, I'm unable to write with the stylus properly. So it is describing what the perfume smells like. Then the fourth one is the glass is hard. So what is being described here? What is the noun? The glass. And glass is being described as hard. Okay? So we saw 4 examples here, wherein the first one is describing what the house looks like. The second one is describing what the cupcakes taste like. Third one is describing what it smells like. Okay, smells like S I will write for smells. And the fourth one, the glass is hard. This one is describing what the glass feels like. So various kinds of descriptions are given by the adjectives. Okay. So adjectives are nothing but words which describe what something looks like, what something tastes like, what something smells like, and what something feels like. Okay, this is the basic meaning of adjective. Now let's move on. Alright, now we have a few categories. We'll just go through them. First is the descriptive adjectives. Descriptive adjectives are the most common ones. They are the ones which are used to describe nouns and pronouns. Alright, we have a few examples like beautiful, cute, silly, tall, annoying, loud, nice. So now these descriptive adjectives are the ones which come to your mind when you think of the word adjective. Alright, the first adjectives which come to your mind are the descriptive ones because they are the ones that are used to describe anything, right? And that's what we call about in the definition of adjective as well, the words which describe nouns or pronouns. Okay. These are a few examples of descriptive adjectives. Let's see. The house is a lovely house. Descriptive adjective has a beautiful garden. Beautiful descriptive adjective. We have the red flowers have an amazing fragrance. What are the words describing here? Something. Red is describing the flowers, which is the noun, and amazing fragrance. Amazing is also describing the smell of flowers. Alright. Okay, here the next ones are the quantitative adjectives. They show certain number of quantity, and as its name suggests, they are used to describe the quantity of something. Like here we have the examples 1, 5, 100, many, full, a lot. Alright, so these kind of adjectives which are used are called quantitative adjectives. We have a few examples, like I have 2 brothers. So here, which is the adjective describing the quantity? 2. I ate the whole cake. So whole is the quantitative adjective. She got me 2 boxes of chocolate. 2 boxes of chocolates. Again, quantitative adjectives, the one which describe the quantity or number of something. Alright, next we have demonstrative adjectives. These are pretty easy because we've discussed them already. Describe which noun or pronoun you're referring to. Like we talked about them in our pronouns also, the demonstrative pronouns. These adjectives include the words this, that, these, those. Alright, this singular noun close to you, that singular noun far from you, these plural noun close to you, and those plural noun far from you. This is pretty easy. Then we have possessive adjectives. What do possessive adjectives do? They show certain possession of something. Alright. Describe to whom a thing belongs to. Possession. Like, let me give you examples. Okay, now first of all, let's see what possessive adjectives are. Most common possessive adjectives are my, something that belonging to me, his belonging to her, him, her belonging to her, their belonging to them, your belonging to you, or our belonging to us. Alright, but when you want to leave off the noun or pronoun being modified, use these possessive adjectives instead. When you have to leave off the noun, like we use mine, his, hers, theirs, our, yours, ours. Let's see how. Like that is my house. Okay, my house. But if you have to leave that out, we can say that house is mine. Okay, and that is her pencil. But we can also say this pencil is hers. So these are possessive adjectives. Next up we have interrogative adjectives. Pretty easy again. As their name suggests, what do interrogative adjectives do? They tell us various types. Sorry, they help us interrogate and ask various questions. Like here, which, what, whose, etc. Right, so these kind of adjectives, interrogative adjectives, they are used to answer, or maybe we can say to ask certain questions. Alright, to basically interrogate. Then examples, what pet do you want to get, or whose child is this? These are interrogative adjectives. Then we have distributive adjectives. They describe specific members out of a group. Specific members out of a group. Let's see how. Each, every, neither, either, any. Like each, it refers to every single one out of a group. Used to speak about group members individually. Then we have every, again, every single one of a group, which is used to make generalization. Then we have either. Either can be used for choice of two. Then we have neither, not one or the other, between a choice of two. Then any. Any can be one or some things out of any number of choices. This is also used when the choice is irrelevant. Like, it doesn't matter, I'll take any of them. So here the choice is irrelevant. That's also when we use any. Okay. Let's see here. I don't like neither of the dresses. Sorry, I don't like either of the dresses. Now either telling the choice that we are not choosing any of them. Then we have every student has to submit his or her report. So every student. Every is the adjective here. Alright. Now this is another subcategory for the adjectives. We will be doing Comparatives and superlatives. Comparatives and superlatives are one such topic where we will be comparing two things or more than two things. अब हम इसे कैसे करेंगे और कैसे कंपैरिजन ड्रॉ करेंगे, कंपैरेटिव्स एंड सुपरलेटिव्स क्या होते हैं, ये वी विल सी इन द नेक्स्ट फ्यू स्लाइड्स. सो शुरू करते हैं. First of all, as I told you, comparatives and superlatives, they are used to compare. Compare what? Compare nouns or pronouns. अब हम एक क्विक रिविजन कर लें कि nouns और pronouns होते क्या हैं. Nouns क्या होते थे? Nouns were any person, any animal, any place, or anything. So person, place, animal, thing, all these things, they were nouns. Okay. And what were pronouns? Pronouns are the words which replace the nouns. Just say if we write I like the dog, the dog is 2 years old. So I like the dog, it is 2 years old. So we write it for the dog, it. Okay? It, him, he, she, her, his, all these words, they are pronouns. So these comparatives and superlatives, they are used to compare. हम जब दो nouns को, for example, if we are comparing one house with another, then we will be using comparatives and superlatives. अगर हम किसी if we are comparing him and her, one guy and one boy and one girl, so comparing pronouns, that will be done using comparatives and superlatives. हम कैसे form करेंगे? Now let's see that. Comparative adjectives. So first of all, we will be doing comparative adjectives. Here, comparative adjectives का आप नाम देखेंगे तो नाम से we can sense it from the name compare. दो words को, दो nouns या pronouns को compare कर रहे हैं. तो इसका meaning क्या हुआ? Comparing adjectives, they are used to compare differences between the two objects they modify. For example, larger, smaller, faster, higher. And they are used in sentences where two nouns are compared. You see, we are comparing two nouns. अब इसकी जो formation है, the formation. कैसे इसका फॉर्मेट है? दिस इज द फॉर्मेट. द नाउन जो हमारा सब्जेक्ट है, जो हमारा बेसिस है कंपेयर करने का, नाउन प्लस वर्ब प्लस कंपैरेटिव एडजेक्टिव प्लस देन प्लस नाउन. अब ये आपको रचना नहीं है. ओके, यू डोंट हैव टू राइट दिस डाउन एंड मेमोराइज दिस. आपको ये मेमोराइज नहीं करना. ऑफ कोर्स ये आपके क्वेश्चंस में आएगा, बट अभी हम जब एग्जाम्पल्स देखेंगे ना, तो आपको ये अपने आप ही समझ आ जाएगा. इसको आपको रचने की जरूरत नहीं है कि नाउन प्लस वर्ब प्लस कंपैरेटिव एडजेक्टिव प्लस देन प्लस नाउन. ये आपको इंग्लिश ऐसी चीज है ना, जो आपको ऐसे आप रटोगे तो आपको कुछ नहीं होगा. आपसे कोई पूछेगा नहीं कि फॉर्मेशन कैसे करते हैं. ठीक है, कोई नहीं पूछेगा आपसे कि टेल मी व्हाट आर कंपैरेटिव एडजेक्टिव्स एंड टेल मी हाउ आर दे फॉर्म्ड, व्हाट इज देयर फॉर्मेट. Nobody will ask that to you. However, जो questions आएंगे, the questions will be of this sort, जिसमें आपको comparative adjectives options में से choose करने होंगे या fill in करने होंगे correct comparative adjectives. तो हम अभी examples देखेंगे तो आपको समझ आ जाएगा. So let's start. For example, now you see कैसे my house is larger than hers. अब यहाँ पे you see कि एक हाउस को दूसरे के हाउस से कंपेयर कर रहे हैं. So my house is larger. Larger क्या है? हमारा comparative adjective. अब इसमें आपको ऐसे तो याद नहीं करना कि subject plus verb plus comparative adjective. हम इसको इंग्लिश में comparative adjective का sentence ही ये बनेगा कि my house is larger than. compare किससे कर रहे हैं? Than hers. So this was the first house, first noun, and the second house, hers, matlab her house, is compared with the second one. And the first one is larger than hers. My house is larger than hers. So आपने देखा comparative adjective कैसे use हुआ? Now let's see the second sentence. The second sentence says the box is smaller than the one I lost. यहाँ पे larger था, यहाँ पे smaller. यहाँ पे क्या हम adjectives में क्या बता रहे हैं? यहाँ पे हम size बता रहे हैं. What it looks like. Okay, it's the size comparison हो रहा है. तो adjective तो हो गया ये, पर comparative adjective कैसे हुआ? क्योंकि हम एक बॉक्स को दूसरे बॉक्स से कंपेयर कर रहे हैं. We are comparing the subject with the object and using the comparative adjective of smaller. Okay? Now the next sentence. Your dog runs faster than Jim's dog. Your dog. This is one. This is our first. This is the subject. First noun जो है, it is being compared with Jim's dog, which is the second noun, or we can say the object. Subject को object से compare किया, using which adjective? The comparative adjective of faster. मतलब तुम्हारा जो डॉग है वो जिम के डॉग से ज्यादा तेज भागता है. कंपेयर किससे किया? जिम्स डॉग से. राइट? नाउ द नेक्स्ट सेंटेंस. द रॉक फ्लू हायर देन द रूफ. यहाँ पे हमारा सब्जेक्ट क्या है? द सब्जेक्ट इज रॉक, फ्लू हायर देन द रूफ. And second noun is roof. Roof is the object. The comparative adjective being used is higher. Okay. So यहाँ पे आपने देखा जो first, यहाँ पे जो सारे ये जो first जो subjects हैं, they are being compared with the nouns, with the objects, the second nouns जो हैं, using the comparative adjectives. Okay, these all comparative adjectives. और यहाँ पे हमारे पास यूज हुआ है क्या? ये verbs is, runs, flew. और यहाँ पे कंपैरिजन करने के लिए than भी एक important word है while using the comparative adjectives. Okay, so जो formation है उसके लिए आपको बस sentences समझने हैं. उसके लिए आपको कोई formation याद करने की जरूरत नहीं है कि subject plus verb plus the comparative adjective plus than plus the object. No, you don't have to memorize it. You just have to remember the examples. और examples में आपको पता है कि ये subject है, verb है, comparative adjective है, फिर than use होता है क्योंकि हम compare कर रहे हैं, और फिर object. Okay, very simple. Now let's move on to our next slide. So now we have done comparative adjectives and we have seen how comparative adjectives they compare two nouns or pronouns. Okay, Now we will be talking about superlative adjectives and see what they do. When are superlative adjectives used? What do they mean? So, as we can see, superlative adjectives, they are used to describe. Now it is important to see describe. Comparative adjectives भी describe के लिए use होते हैं, superlative adjectives भी describe. Why? Because जो adjectives हैं, adjectives का जो काम होता है, adjectives का काम ही होता है nouns को, pronouns को describe करना. Alright, so whenever there is a description of something, then we have adjectives. So superlative adjectives used to describe an object. What are they describing? An object, but इसके साथ condition क्या लगी हुई है? Description of an object तो adjectives भी देते हैं, comparative adjectives भी देते हैं. तो superlative adjectives क्या करते हैं? Describe an object which is at the upper or the lower limit of a quality. मतलब examples दिए हैं जैसे tallest, smallest, fastest, highest. So the adjectives they are used to describe an object which is at the upper or lower limit of a quality. Okay? अब इसको हम जब examples लेंगे तो आपको समझ आएगा कि कैसे upper limit और lower limit हम किस sense में कह रहे हैं. अब ये देखिए कि यहाँ पे लिखा है they are used in sentences where a subject is compared to a group of objects. Alright, now what is important here that it is used in a sentence where the subject is compared to a group of objects. Group of objects. जैसे मैं आपको example देती हूँ. Suppose I have two brothers and sisters. मतलब एक तो मैं हूँ आस्था. Okay, and I am 21 years old. Okay, and I have a brother. My brother, suppose say he is 13 years old. Let's say I have another sister, and that sister, my sister is 30 years old. Okay, so who are we? We are all siblings. भाई बहन हैं हम सब. अब इसमें अगर हम compare करेंगे, you see, let's draw a comparison here. हम जब आस्था को और मेरे भाई को compare करेंगे, आस्था and brother. So we compare and we say, Aastha is elder. Aastha is elder than her brother. तो यहाँ पे हमने कौन सा adjective use किया? Comparative. हम एक subject को एक object से compare कर रहे हैं. Aastha is elder. या फिर हम ये भी कह सकते हैं Aastha's brother is younger than her. तब भी हम एक को ही compare कर रहे हैं. ठीक है. यहाँ पे लेकिन सबसे बड़ा एज में कौन है? सबसे बड़ी is my sister. So for my sister we will say she is the eldest of all the siblings. She is eldest of all. मतलब upper limit, सबसे बड़ी है वो. And my brother, for my brother I will say he is the youngest. Okay, so upper limit पे कौन है? सबसे बड़ी is my sister, and lower limit पे we have my brother and he is the youngest. Okay, so इसका मतलब जो यहाँ पे लिखा है ना, superlative adjectives they are used to describe an object which are at the upper or the lower limit. So ये है इसका मतलब कि eldest कौन था? My sister, and that's why we refer to her as eldest. और जो eldest है ना, eldest is the superlative adjectives. ठीक है? Eldest is the superlative adjective. Youngest is also superlative adjective. स्मॉलेस्ट, यंग, टॉलेस्ट, फास्टेस्ट, हाईएस्ट। अब इसके हम अभी और कंपैरिजंस देखेंगे और एग्जांपल्स देखेंगे तो आपको और अच्छे से समझ आएगा। लेट्स मूव ऑन। See a few examples. The first sentence here says, my house is the largest one in our neighborhood. अब आप इसी को कंपेयर करें अगर हमारे कंपैरेटिव एडजेक्टिव वाले एग्जांपल से, where we said my house is smaller than her house, या तो उसमें हम दो हाउसेस को कंपेयर कर रहे हैं, एक ये हाउस है, ठीक है, एंड एक ये हाउस है। हम सिर्फ अगर दो को कंपेयर कर रहे हैं तो वी यूज द कंपैरेटिव एडजेक्टिव कि दिस हाउस इज बिगर देन दिस हाउस, इज लार्जर देन दिस हाउस। बट व्हेन वी आर, जब हम इन सब में कंपेयर करेंगे, नेबरहुड जो है बहुत बड़ी होती है, नेबरहुड है ये, इसमें बहुत सारे हाउसेस हैं और ओके, देयर आर मोर हाउसेस। अब हम इसमें जब बोलेंगे व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस हाउस, जब हम बहुत सारे हाउसेस में बोल रहे हैं, सबसे बड़ा कौन सा है? माई हाउस। माई हाउस इज द लार्जेस्ट वन। लार्जेस्ट मतलब अपर लिमिट, सबसे बड़ा है, तो अपर लिमिट इन आवर नेबरहुड। ग्रुप ऑफ ऑब्जेक्ट्स, नेबरहुड में तो बहुत सारे हाउसेस होते हैं, राइट? सो इट इज द लार्जेस्ट वन, सबसे बड़ा। दिस लार्जेस्ट इज द सुपरलेटिव एडजेक्टिव। ओके, now next example. This is the smallest box I have ever seen. This is the smallest box I have ever seen. अब बहुत सारे बॉक्सेस देखे हैं मैंने लाइफ में, बट सबसे स्मॉल मतलब लोअर लिमिट, सबसे छोटा, स्मॉलेस्ट बॉक्स आई हैव एवर सीन। ओके, स्मॉलेस्ट इज द सुपरलेटिव एडजेक्टिव। एक बॉक्स को वी आर कंपेयरिंग विद जो भी बॉक्सेस मैंने देखे हैं आज तक, ठीक है? सिर्फ दो बॉक्स को कंपेयर नहीं कर रहे हैं, हम एक बॉक्स को बता रहे हैं कि ये सबसे छोटा है among all the boxes I have ever seen. Okay, I hope you are understanding the difference between comparative adjectives and superlative adjectives. Let's see another one. Your dog ran the fastest of any dog in the race. मतलब आपका जो डॉग है इतना, मतलब he is so fast that he ran the fastest of any dog in the race. There was a race and there were many dogs which participated. Okay, but this particular dog, he ran the fastest. There were other dogs also, more than one, right? All of them were slower than the particular dog. So हम सिर्फ दो डॉग्स को कंपेयर नहीं कर रहे हैं, वी आर कंपेयरिंग one dog with another group of dogs. Okay, then another example. We all threw our rocks at the same time. My rock flew the highest. See यहाँ क्या हो रहा है? There are these kids, okay, and इन लोगों ने ना अपने rocks फेंके. They had stones and the three of their rocks up in the air. इनका रॉक गया यहाँ तक, इनका रॉक गया यहाँ तक, इनका रॉक गया यहाँ तक, इनका रॉक यहीं तक रह गया. So अगर अब ध्यान से सुनना, मैं कंपैरेटिव और सुपरलेटिव में आपको डिफरेंस समझा रही हूँ. यहाँ पे अगर हम सिर्फ इन दोनों को कंपेयर करें तो हम बोलेंगे कि his rock flew higher. Okay, higher than his rock. ठीक है, इसमें सिर्फ हम दो को कंपेयर कर रहे हैं, पर अगर हम इन सब में कंपेयर करेंगे, इन सब में अगर हम कंपेयर करेंगे तो हम क्या बोलेंगे? That his rock flew the highest. आप डिफरेंस समझ रहे हैं? कि कहाँ हम सिर्फ दो को कंपेयर कर रहे हैं और कहाँ हम जब एक के साथ बाकी सबको कंपेयर कर रहे हैं, हाईएस्ट हमारी अपर लिमिट इस स्टॉक ने रीच करी तो हाईएस्ट। ठीक है, ये डिफरेंस है कंपैरेटिव एंड सुपरलेटिव में। कंपैरेटिव इज जब हम एक एंड 1 एंड 2 हम दोनों को कंपेयर कर रहे हैं तो हो गया हमारा कंपैरेटिव एडजेक्टिव। बट जब हम सुपरलेटिव में एक तो है पर देयर आर अ लॉट मोर, 2 3 4 5, देयर आर अ लॉट मोर। तो इन सबको जब हम एक से कंपेयर कर रहे हैं और ये जो एक है ये या तो अपर लिमिट में है या तो लोअर लिमिट में है, या तो सबसे बड़ा है या तो सबसे छोटा है, या तो सबसे ज्यादा है सबसे कम है, मतलब किसी भी सेंस में, जैसे फास्टेस्ट है या स्लोएस्ट है, इसी सेंस में अपर लिमिट या लोअर लिमिट। ठीक है, अभी हम आगे इनकी फॉर्मेशन देखेंगे तो आप और देखेंगे कंपैरिजंस एंड एग्जांपल्स, तो आपको और क्लियर हो जाएगा। लेट्स मूव ऑन। हाउ टू फॉर्म। अब ये हमने देखा लार्जर, लार्जेस्ट, फर्दर, फारदेस्ट, ये सब हमने देखा। तो अब हम ये कैसे फॉर्म करते हैं, कौन से एडजेक्टिव का कैसा फॉर्मेशन होगा। नाउ वी विल सी वन बाय वन वेरियस कैटेगरीज। ओके, नाउ वी आर टॉकिंग वेरियस कैटेगरीज में हम देखेंगे फॉर्मेशन कैसे होगी। फर्स्ट इज the one syllable adjectives. One syllable adjectives. One syllable adjectives के में हम comparative के लिए er ऐड कर देंगे। क्या ऐड करेंगे? er adjective में। and superlative के लिए हम लोग est ऐड करेंगे। ओके, फिर if the adjective has a consonant, single vowel and consonant spelling, so the final consonant must be doubled before adding the ending. अब इसका आपको कंफ्यूजिंग लग रहा होगा, पर हम जो लास्ट का कॉन्सोनेंट है, जब वो लास्ट के कॉन्सोनेंट में एंड हो रहा है तो हमसे डबल कर देंगे बिफोर er या फिर est। ये कैसे होगा मैं आपको नेक्स्ट स्लाइड में एग्जाम्पल लेके समझाती हूँ। ओके, नाउ हियर यू सी क्या हो रहा है। हमने क्या देखा था कि कंपैरेटिव में हम क्या ऐड करेंगे? er, और सुपरलेटिव में क्या ऐड करेंगे? est। ठीक है, बट हमने एक और चीज देखी थी कि जब देयर इज कॉन्सोनेंट, वोवेल एंड कॉन्सोनेंट एंडिंग, कॉन्सोनेंट एंडिंग हो रही है l, t, g, d, तो हमें ये जो er और est है ये तो ऐड करना ही है। बट एक और चीज हमें क्या करना है कि ये जो हमारा लास्ट कॉन्सोनेंट है ना, कॉन्सोनेंट एंडिंग, इसको हमें रेपिटेटिव करना है, ये डबल हो जाएगा। टॉलर में तो देयर इज ऑलरेडी अ डबल वन एंड इट इज नॉट अ सिंगल कॉन्सोनेंट एंडिंग, ये डबल कॉन्सोनेंट एंडिंग है, तो इसमें तो ये डबल नहीं होगा, इसमें ऑलरेडी है, तो इधर er ऐड कर दिया हमने कंपैरेटिव में। सुपरलेटिव में est, tall, taller, tallest. For fat, you see there is a consonant ending, तो हमने क्या कर दिया इसे कंपैरेटिव में fatter and superlative में fattest. All right, there is a double हो गया कौन सा हमारा लेटर? T, क्योंकि वो लास्ट में हमारी सिंगल कॉन्सोनेंट एंडिंग है। Similarly for big, G ending, G single consonant ending, comparative में हमने er तो ऐड किया ही, ये er ऐड किया हमने, बन गया bigger, double G. For superlative again we have biggest, जिसमें हमने est तो ऐड किया ही जैसे हमें करना है, पर हमने ये consonant का सिंगल एंडिंग थी तो हमने इसे डबल कर दिया। ओके, Another one sad. Sad में consonant, vowel, consonant ending is consonant ending D. हम इसे comparative में ER तो ऐड करेंगे ही और इसे consonant ending को double कर देंगे, double D, sadder. Now for superlative, सबसे पहले हमें EST तो ऐड करना है. One syllable adjective है ये, इसमें consonant, vowel, consonant ending D जो है उसे हम double कर देंगे. Double plus EST, saddest. Okay, this was our first category, one syllable adjectives. Now let's move on to our second category, adjectives. Now second category is the two syllable adjectives. Okay, two syllable adjectives में क्या करते हैं हम? Adjectives with two syllables can form the comparative by adding ER. Comparative में दो options हैं हमारे पास. Either by adding ER या फिर by preceding the adjective with more. Okay? And superlative के लिए superlative या तो हम EST ऐड कर दें जैसे हम one syllable में कर रहे थे, या फिर हम adjective will be preceded by most, either more or most, या फिर ER, EST. ओके, तो अब इसके हम एग्जाम्पल्स देखेंगे, फिर आपको ज्यादा अच्छे से समझ आएगा. Okay, so you see here happy second category है. इसमें हमने क्या सीखा है? या तो हम ER ऐड करेंगे या फिर हम more लिख देंगे जो हमारा एडजेक्टिव है, एडजेक्टिव से पहले. यहाँ पे हम EST ऐड करेंगे या फिर हम लिख देंगे most. Okay, so happy is a two syllable adjective. इसमें हमने comparative में हमने ER ऐड कर दिया, happier, and for superlative we added EST. For simple we added an ER. Simple already ends in E, तो हमने सिर्फ R ऐड किया. Here EST in the superlative one. Busy, again busier and busiest. Tilted, अब tilted में we added a more tilted and most tilted. Tangled, more tangled, most tangled. You see, these are the various varieties जिसमें या तो हम ER ऐड करेंगे या फिर हम more ऐड करेंगे for comparative, या तो हम EST ऐड करेंगे या फिर हम most ऐड करेंगे for superlative. So these various examples: happy, happier, happiest; simple, simpler, simplest; busy, busier, busiest; tilted, more tilted, most tilted; tangled, more tangled, most tangled. Okay, now let's move on. अब हम आ रहे हैं 3 or more syllables. जब 3 या more syllables हों तो हम यहाँ पे क्या है, यहाँ पे हम more डालेंगे या फिर superlative पे most. Comparative में we will put on a more, and superlative में we will have most. Okay, now let's see a few examples. Okay, important, more than three syllables adjectives. So say comparative में we added a more, and superlative में we added a most. For expensive we added a more. For expensive comparative, we added a more. For the superlative, we added a most. So comparative में क्या add करते हैं हम? More. And superlative में we add a most. Okay? This is easy to remember. इसमें कुछ नहीं करना है, same रहेगा हमारा adjective but more and most. So we read two examples: important, more important, most important; expensive, more expensive, most expensive. Okay, let's move on. अब कुछ होते हैं जो एकदम irregular होते हैं, जो ना हमारे फर्स्ट सिलेबल, सेकंड सिलेबल, थर्ड सिलेबल की कैटेगरीज में नहीं आते. ये हमारी फोर्थ कैटेगरी है, which are irregular comparatives and superlatives, completely irregular. So let's see how are they formed. Now we say these are very common adjectives and they have completely irregular comparative and superlative. Irregular का मतलब कोई स्टैंडर्ड फॉर्मेशन नहीं है. जैसे कि हमने वन सिलेबल में स्टैंडर्ड फॉर्मेशन देखी थी EREST की, थ्री सिलेबल्स में देखी थी मोस्ट एंड मोर की. यहाँ पे कोई स्टैंडर्ड नहीं है, यहाँ पे अलग अलग तरीके से हम सुपरलेटिव्स एंड कंपैरेटिव्स बनाएंगे. These comparatives and superlatives will be completely irregular. Let's see. Here we have a few examples. जैसे good. Good के लिए हम gooder नहीं कहते हैं, goodest नहीं कहते हैं. For good we use better. Okay, for the comparative. And for superlative we use best. Similarly, for the second example, bad, we use, for bad, comparative के लिए हम use करते हैं worse. And for the superlative, we use worst. Okay, सबसे बुरा. Then little. We don't say littler, littlest, no. For little, for the comparative, we use is less. And for the superlative, we use least. For much, जो comparative हम use करते हैं, that is more. And the superlative we use is most. Then for far, the comparative we use is further or farther. And the superlative we use is furthest or farthest. Okay, so we did the following examples: good, better, best; bad, worse, worst; little, less, least; much, more, most; far, further or farther; and furthest and furthest or farthest. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. Alright, so now we have one more category, which is the adjective phrase, or we can call it the adjectival phrase. What are these adjectival phrases or adjective phrase? What they do is, their function is same as adjectives, which is, describing a noun or a pronoun. And what they do is they tell a bit more information about a noun or a pronoun. Okay, and how are they formed? The adjective is used with usually an intensifier. Okay, so there is nothing difficult and nothing new in here. All you have to remember is these adjective phrases, when we're talking about, they will not have a single word. Because the phrase itself means having more than one word. So it will not just have one adjective, it will have either an intensifier or multiple adjectives. All right. Okay, here you see an example. The handsome boy is my brother. Here, what is the adjective? Handsome. This is what? This is an adjective only. But then if we say, the boy who is so handsome, this becomes an adjective phrase, adjectival phrase. Alright. Then we have the red fragrant flowers. Red fragrant. This is what? An adjectival phrase. Then here, I like people who speak the truth. So this is what? Who speak the truth. This is what? It is describing, giving more information about the noun people. So this is an adjectival phrase. I could have easily said I like truthful people. Truthful could have been an adjective. But here I like people who speak the truth. So here who speak the truth becomes an adjectival phrase. Alright. This is just a slight difference. And nothing much too serious or much to focus upon. It is just a slight difference that you should know about. Alright. Alright, so now we'll be talking about the order of adjectives. What does order of adjectives mean? Here, suppose you have to describe one thing, but with more than one adjective. Alright, suppose you have to tell something like it is good, and it is also tiny, and it is also, say, Indian, or it is also huge. So when you're using more than one adjectives together, so what is the order that you put in? Which means which type of adjective do you put first, or which type of adjective do you put second? Like if you're talking something about good tiny, so do you say good tiny ball, or do you say tiny good ball? So this question is going to be answered by the order of adjectives. Let's see here. The order is, first of all, we use the determiner. Whichever determiner is there, like a, and, the, both, many, some, a lot, few, etc. So first we use the determiner. Then we use the adjective which is describing the opinion, like good, pretty, silly, terrible, or joyful. So any opinion, any description about it in the opinion reference, that is used next. Then the third one comes is size. Big, small, tiny, large, huge, gigantic, any of the adjective telling the size, that is used next. Okay, that's in the third position. Alright, so in the fourth position we use shape. Any shape, flat, square, round, rectangular, cuboid, any shape, that is used in the fourth position. Then next we use the age. Young, youthful, old, any age we're referring to. Then we talk about the color. If we are talking about it, color, black, bright, faded, yellow, etc. Then we talk about its origin, then we talk about its material, and then we talk about its purpose. Now here it is not necessary that you will always have these nine adjectives for each word, right? You might just have a small, tiny, like I told you. So when you just have these 2 or maybe 3 or 4, so in this order you have to do it. Alright. So that's it. These are the 9 broad orders that you can take care of. Here are a few examples, like a pretty, tiny, red box. Now this is the noun. Noun always comes in the end. Here we have the determiner. Here we have the opinion, pretty, tiny, size, red, color. And we have many round old Indian plates. Plates is the noun, many is the determiner, round is the shape, old is the age, then Indian is the origin. Okay, then we have young Indian man. Man is what? Noun. Young is what? Age. Then Indian is what? Origin. Alright, So this is just a broad category. This was just a broad categorization of the order of the adjectives. All right. All right. So now we've done the broad categorization, understood what adjectives are and their meaning, various types also, comparatives. It's a pretty long class. Now we will moving to the quiz and seeing how much you have actually learned. All right. All right. So for the quiz, what we will be doing is, now every question you will be given 1 minute. 1 minute means 60 seconds. Why am I giving you 1 minute? Because you see, your question paper of IEO, it has about 50 questions, and so you can imagine that you get more or less a minute to answer the questions. Now this 1 minute is the maximum that you should be taking for answering the question. Now suppose there could be two, three categories of students. First category is, suppose you answer the question within that 1 minute. So I would request you to fast forward the video and skip right to the answer. You should not be wasting your time. All right. Now the other students who are not able to answer the question in 1 minute, what you do, you don't skip to the answer. You pause the video and you write down your answer. All right, it is very important to answer each and every question because there is no negative marking. Here you see, for every incorrect answer, no points, because there is no negative marking in IEO. So it is important that you attempt all the questions. Now for a question of which you are not sure about the answer, now even here and even in the exam, if you are not sure about the answer and you maybe think that B option might be correct or C option might be correct, so you should in that case play your luck and play your mind and make a guess and still give an answer, because it is a win-win situation. Either you will get the marks for that question or you will get a 0, right? But if you don't attempt that question at all, then you are anyway getting a 0 in that, right? So it is good to attempt those questions, and even if you don't know all the answers, try to understand and take a guess. Okay, so this is for every correct answer 10 points. This is just for your own little game where you can try to maintain a notepad. So here you write the name of the chapter and then the question, and then if it is correct you can give yourself 10 points. If it is not correct, you mark it here. So it is important to see these questions, the ones which you mark incorrect. It is important to go back to them later and then see where you did the mistake. Alright, this is just for your reference. For every correct answer you can give yourself 10 points. Alright, now let's start. Time's up. Alright, so here choose the appropriate adjectives for the underlined phrases in the sentences given below. Here what we have to do, we're given a sentence and accordingly there is a certain part which is underlined. So we have to choose the option from the given these to replace this phrase. Okay, like here we have, the children usually love tomato sauce. I find it quite opposite to my liking. I find it quite nasty or repulsive or generous or rude. Okay, so here the correct answer is, the children usually love tomato sauce. I find it quite opposite to my liking. This can be replaced with here B, repulsive. Repulsive is something that you do not like, right? You know, this is repulsive is something जिससे आप repel हो जाते हो, so you know you run away from it. Okay. Okay, now here we have, Chavi is totally lacking in taste of food culture. You may call her selective or gourmet or grumpy or bland. Okay, so here the correct answer is bland. Now bland for food is actually used, you know, the food is kind of tasteless. And here we're using bland for a person, Chavi, who lacks in taste of food culture. You know, she is really not interested in all this tasting, etc. So that's bland. Okay. Okay, next up we have Riddhi's unpleasant and rude behavior is responsible for her distancing from her family. Unpleasant and rude behavior. So unpleasant and rude can be replaced with gentle or obnoxious or easygoing or pessimistic. Here the correct answer is obnoxious. Obnoxious means unpleasant and rude. Then we have gentle, something who's soft and polite. Easygoing, someone who's chill. And pessimistic, someone who thinks a lot of things negatively. Alright, now next we have, I don't believe Vedansh can be a good leader. He is always too eager to please his seniors. Options are manipulative, lazy, or lively, or obsequious. Here the correct answer is D, obsequious. He is always obsequious. He's obsequious in the sense, he's just running after his seniors and trying to get in their good books and just trying to please them. Alright. Okay, if you see the other words here, like manipulative, is someone who kinds of uses tricks and traps to please someone or to make their things to make things go their way. All right. Okay, now here the next one says, Dolly has an air about herself that she is much more important than other people. So here the phrase underlined is much more important than other people. So here accordingly, the options are pompous, affectionate, zestful, and witty. So here the word which means much, thinking of oneself is more important than others, is pompous. Pompous is someone who's like, who thinks that they are the most important people, who they have too much self-importance. All right. Alright, now we have the next category. This one says, mark the adjective for the underlined phrase which describes the personality. Let's see. When Amitabh started his career, he was a youth having long, thin arms and legs and had rather awkward manners. So here we have underlined this part of the personality and we have to choose an adjective to replace this. We have the options plump, flabby, stout, and gangling youth. Okay, now a young person having long, thin arms and legs and rather awkward manners can be replaced with the adjective here, gangling youth. Okay. Then if you see the other words, like here we have plump. Plump actually means something, if you use for a person, someone who's uptight, it actually means someone that's vertical. Okay. Then we have flabby. Now a flabby person would be, we can say someone who's, really sort of overweight and has, loose flesh sort of thing. Then we have stout. Stout can be referred to a person who has a heavy build and is fat. Okay. Alright, here we have men and women from Haryana generally have a quite fat and solid body. Here the options are stout, skinny, bony or lean. Okay, so here the correct answer I just told you is stout. You know, people who are quite fat and have a solid body. Okay, skinny, lean, bonies are someone who's, you know, very short-heighted. So, and I'm sorry, bony is actually someone who's, you know, sort of short-heighted and also very thin in the sense that, you know, bony, like their bones are evident. Okay, so bony and skinny sort of can be some we can say synonyms. All right. Alright, next up we have, poets have written so much about the unkempt hair of their beloved, practically they give rather an untidy appearance. Okay, unkempt hair of their beloved. The options are neat, tidy, spruce and scruffy. Now unkempt hair can also be called as scruffy hair. Okay, you know, which actually is also given untidy appearance. Now other neat, tidy, I'm pretty sure you know what they mean. Here we have spruce. Now spruce is actually a plant, I think. Now spruce hair could actually be, you know, there's this plant which has sort of leaves, you know, these small sorry, I can't draw. Yeah, like here, it's very small, you know, these leaves sort of things coming out. So maybe if someone talks about spruce hair, maybe they're talking about such small hair coming out like this. So I'm not really sure if we use spruce for hair, but if it is used, it might mean this sort of, you know, short hair coming out from the scalp. All right. Okay, so the next one we have is when Shubha was young, she looked very pretty. But now with growing age, her face shows signs of tiredness and age. So showing signs of tiredness and age. The options are fresh, robust, haggard, vigorous. So here the correct answer is haggard. Haggard actually. Now the other ones like fresh, I'm sure you know what it means. Like vigorous, vigorous is someone again who has who is strong and full of energy. Robust also means healthy and full of energy. Okay. Time's up. Okay, here we have Advait is quite lacking in confidence and has a low opinion of himself, and that he is not even aware of his own potential. Okay, so here the options are diffident, forward, confident, or assured. Okay, so here I am pretty sure you know this one. The correct answer is diffident, which is the opposite of confident. Diffident is a person who lacks in confidence, okay, and has a low opinion of himself. Alright, that's diffident. Alright, so with this we finish off with our questions on adjectives. Okay, now as you see, the most of the questions, they were around personality and build. So if you can expect some sort of questions like this, so just to brush up through them. Okay. All right. So
that's all for our class on adjectives. I hope you have had the basic idea. Make sure you use the correct adjective at the correct place, because this correct placement is very important. Otherwise, it may completely change the meaning of the noun. All right. So that's all. Keep revising and keep learning. I will see you the next time. Thank you for watching.